Hello and welcome to Moneylife. I'm Sucheta Dalal, Managing Editor of Moneylife. This week I'm going to talk about Diwan Housing Finance Limited. This company has been tottering on the stock exchanges, has been a cause of enormous worry. So what is new? What is new is scandalous. There has been a forensic audit apparently commissioned by the lenders, and that has confirmed a 20,000 crore hole in the books of Diwan Housing. 20,000 crore. And this shows that money has been siphoned off from this non-banking finance company or shadow bank into personal companies that belong to the group. This report, commissioned by the lenders, has apparently not been presented to the board, but the Securities and Exchange Board of India is fully aware of it, and yet, this is the scandal, and yet the Wadhwans remain in charge of management. This is happening while you have daily headlines about the Enforcement Directorate conducting raids all over the country and establishing links of the DHFL group with Iqbal Mirchi, the late gangster associate of Dawood Ibrahim. Now, you would think this kind of, again, the connections are to various politicians. According to allegations made by the Enforcement Directorate, they're trying to find links with former Minister Praful Patel. All this is in the newspapers. Doesn't it surprise you that this company, which has been seen for over a year as another ILFS, which is Infrastructure Leasing and Financial Services, whose collapse has already caused major turmoil in the financial markets, DHFL was seen as big as that, but the government has been in denial. It has allowed the Wadhwans to remain in charge of management. It has allowed them to keep selling parts of their portfolio. It's had lenders doing something quietly in the background which we don't know about. But the situation today is, as of July 6th, this company owed 83,873 crores to a spectrum of lenders. Where's this money coming from? Nobody knows. 20,000 crore is a hole which is maybe 3 times the size of Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, where people are crying for their money. And yet, like I said, until last week, not only were the management in charge, but they were structuring a shady deal where their equity just reduces to half. They sell another chunk of their good loans to a company called Oak Tree Capital. It's a big chunk of 35,000 crore, which is over and above big chunks of good loans that they have allowed lenders to cherry pick and buy out. So what you now have is the dregs, and this whole, as I said, is as big as 83,873 crore. How are they going to fix it? Why are these people in charge of management? Why are they allowed to continue? Why will they continue to have 50% of the equity? We have no answers. Why are the regulators silent? Like I said, SEBI knows that the forensic audit has been commissioned by lenders. SEBI knows that it's not been put up to the board. I spoke to one of the independent directors who's a former executive director of the RBI, Dipali Panch Joshi, and she says she's unaware about this forensic audit. Has she asked? I don't know. We have no answers because this is typical of India. People can lose money, people can be in distress, but you don't get answers from regulators, the government, or people in charge. So let's look at what SEBI's corporate governance rules say. Okay, SEBI is, every time there's a crisis, SEBI sets up a corporate governance committee, tightens the rules, has a bunch of check boxes, but when it comes to the crunch, no disclosures. It does not even demand them. So this forensic audit, which according to me and according to experts, ought to have been a mandatory material disclosure which should have been made to the stock exchanges, is a secret. Believe it or not, it's a secret. And even the board, since the board doesn't know, the board is not obliged to tell the stock exchanges, and since lenders are not, directly responsible under the takeover, under the corporate governance code, they don't inform. What a wonderful state of affairs, isn't it? Now, what do you have here? This Wadhwan family is also very interesting. Every time you speak to people in the realty sector, they are a notorious group. Everybody is at pains. Even when you ask a simple thing like, do you have the numbers? People will say, oh, we have nothing to do with them. Now, when I say them, I mean 2 branches of the family. So this family split up, the Wadhwans split up into 2 groups in 2008. had a formal separation in 2010. And guess what? While one group is in charge of Diwan Housing, the other is Housing Development and Infrastructure Limited, which destroyed PMC Bank. So both sides of the family out there looting the financial system, causing massive destruction. One set is in jail, the other is still sitting chummy with lenders even after enforcement raids are going on. No action as we speak until today, right? Now, has this not been known? Like I said, for the last 10 months, this company has been tottering. Any number of columnists have written that this is going to be another part of the systemic risk that we are going to face. This is going to be another ILFS. Nothing happens. The government says there is nothing to worry about, right? When did we start writing about it? Over 10 months ago. So in December 2018, Moneylife's editor Devashish Basu talked about how loans to promoters and poor disclosure were used to boost the net worth and valuation of the company, which means they were fudging their accounts and cooking the books. In fact, just 2 weeks before that, even before the December story, we had written about how two mutual funds, Templeton and Aditya Birla Mutual Fund, had subscribed to non-convertible debentures of the group without showing that promoters' shares were pledged against them. It's out in the public domain. The regulator has not acted. So the regulator, SEBI, has extremely strict rules on the book, but will act selectively. So it has all the powers, but the application of those powers, I don't know what it depends on, but it's certainly selective. At the end of January 2019, you had another huge sting operation and exposure by Cobra Post. Now, Cobra Post was sensational. They said 31,000 crores had been siphoned off to create personal wealth for the promoters through a network of shell companies. Now, remember, the KPMG Forensic Audit has now confirmed 20,000 crores of it. I'm sure another 10,000 may also turn out to be true, but 20,000 crore is not a small number. If this was known in January 2019, you would have expected some seriousness of action. Not only that hasn't happened, lenders are mucking around doing something, and the Vadhwans are in charge of management. This is India for you. This is corporate governance for you. So, what do people who had subscribed to their bonds and debentures do, or have lost money in equity markets? Equity is supposed to be a reasoned bet. This is not a gamble. You're not going to a casino. You are looking at facts, you're looking at credit rating, you're looking at numbers. But when there's this kind of fudging, it is almost as though your investment in equity or bonds or debentures is like going to a casino, because everybody who's in charge, which includes the rating agencies, will overnight reduce the rating from a AAA to a default. So what are these people supposed to do? Now, they are fighting for their rights. So what has happened is that it's bondholders and shareholders who are now going to court. So I think some amount of action has happened because of all the work that has been done by Mr. Ashok Khemka, a Haryana IS officer, who's extremely well known and highly regarded. His wife Jyoti Khemka owns bonds in this company. She bought them because they were AAA rated. The first page of the prospectus says AAA rated, and you assume that they're safe. They give you a higher return than bank FDs. So what do you discover? Overnight, the rating agencies call it a default. So Mr. Khemka is not the kind who takes things lying down, nor is his wife. So they first wrote to the regulators, SEBI and RBI. No action, nothing happens. They then approached the Haryana Chandigarh Consumer Court. The Consumer Court issued notices. That case is going to go on. But they decided that what are the trustees of these bonds? Trustee is a company called Catalyst. What is the trustee doing to protect bondholders' interest? Discovery? Absolutely nothing. So the Khemkas realized there's no point in keeping quiet. They have approached, since they didn't get answers from RBI and SEBI, they have approached the Chandigarh High Court with a writ of mandamus demanding that the regulators be asked to do their job. Yes, that is the state of affairs. Now, Mr. Khemka happily is able to go to court. he has the knowledge, he has the background, and his son is a lawyer. So what he's doing is a great service to all other debenture holders, that's non-convertible debentures, as well as bond holders. The Chandigarh High Court has also issued a notice, and the case is going to come up any day now. So what does Mr. Khemka say? He's pointing out the same thing, that DHFL's non-convertible debentures had a AAA rating by CARE and Brickworks from July 2016 to Jan 2019. Then suddenly, it's in a matter of 3 months is downgraded to default, right? So what he alleges is that he can't take this company to the liquidators, because while you have laws, while you have the Debt Recovery Tribunal, while you have the National Company Law Tribunal, individuals can't approach them, only lenders can. So he has no option but to approach the High Court and the Consumer Court, which he has done, which, like I said, is a huge service to all retail investors of these companies. I think once the notices were issued, you've seen a flurry of action in the last 2 weeks. So there are 2-3 things that have happened. Mutual funds have dubiously been lenders to this company. 2 of them have noticed that this company has been paying out money to unsecured creditors. So they are secured creditors, so they approached the Bombay High Court, which led to a fairly path-breaking judgment. The Bombay High Court issued an order on 10th October 2019. This is suit number 1034, which was filed by 2 mutual funds, Reliance Nippon and Edelweiss. This revealed a lot of things. They sued DHFL as well as this trustee, Catalyst Trustees, whom Khemka is also targeting, and pointed out that they had failed to restrain this company from making payments to unsecured lenders. The interim order of the court confirms this, right? But it brings out a lot of other interesting things which show the trustees in such bad light. It shows that they're doing nothing to do their job, first of all, and to protect people who they are supposed to protect and get a fee to do that job. So the order brings out how DHFL and the debenture trustees allowed a sale of securities to avail securitization advances and also paid 150 crore to an unsecured creditor, DSP Mutual Fund, ignoring the rights and interests of secured creditors. Yes, the High Court's interim order says this in so many words. Another point that the High Court order brings out is that DHFL issued a 200 crore check, which bounced. Okay, it notes that this check was deliberately issued from an account which didn't have money, although the company had enough money to cover 200 crores, and they have 132 bank accounts. It is now that you have bankers who are showing some anxiety. So what are the bankers trying to do? Not that they're getting together, there's no unity. Obviously, if this is how they're behaving, there is money going out to creditors, the debenture trustees not doing their job, the mutual funds are on one side, the bankers are on one side, there's no unity. 2 or 3 more mutual funds have approached the Bombay High Court because they probably see a legal remedy as the only way when regulators won't act. What the State Bank of India, as usual, okay, this public sector bank, this giant public sector bank, has the maximum bad loans in any company. So what does the chairman of SBI do? Goes and complains to the finance ministry that there is no unity. What has it been doing for about a year? Has it been keeping a watch? Is this the time that you go and whine about lack of unity between mutual funds? Today, when this company is tottering, when there's talk of underworld links, when there's a 20,000 crore hole confirmed by a forensic audit, frankly, it is each man or each organization or each retail investor to himself. It's a pity that retail investors don't have the wherewithal to go and approach the courts, but they have been lucky with Mr. Khemka. So mutual funds have an exposure of 5,000 crore. That's not all. For those who were smart enough not to touch this company with a barge pole, they get indirectly hit. So you have all the mutual funds which are affected. Then there is the employee provident funds, life insurance corporation, as usual. Talk about a mess, whether it is ILFS or anything. These 2 players are there investing our money without applying their mind. So they are also affected, which means a wider spectrum of people who don't even know that this scandal is going to affect them are hurt. It's now that the Catalyst trustee has also gone to court. What you have at the end of all this, what you're going to have is a complete mess, quagmire of litigation, which will be fought out in court unless somebody, some regulator, the RBI, which is in charge of finance companies, SEBI, which is in charge of listed companies, wakes up, forces them to the table, finds a solution. But we don't seem to do that in India. We've not done that with PMC Bank, even though 4 or 5 lives have been lost. We are not doing it with this other branch of the family. So the regulators are watching in silence. We, the people, allow them to get away with that silence because regulators are not accountable to the public. Politicians are. And we don't know how to go from the regulators to the politicians because we have one party in India. We have no opposition to speak of. There is an opposition. They have their sticky fingers in the mess because, as you've seen, this is going to Praful Patel and the NCP. We don't know what else is going to come out. What you have is thundering silence from the political opposition. The government is running its own agenda. We don't know what that is. We can only hope and pray that that is on behalf of the people. Regulators are taking instructions from God knows who. They are silent. And people who have invested are biting their fingernails and wondering what's happening, whether they're going to be in the same kind of mess as DHFL, whether they need to get together and go to court, but with no answers. That, my friends, is the state of India's financial sector. Unless we get up and fight for our rights, as I say every week, you're going to be in a mess, whether you overtly invest in one of these dubious companies or somebody does it indirectly for you, like a mutual fund or your insurance company. You have no choice but to wake up. Do it now. Thank you so much.